talk. And I am thrilled, as the director of your Women's Fund Miami-Dade, to welcome you to this annual town hall with our one and only and our first girl mayor, may I say so, Madam
Absolutely.
Daniella Levine Cava. Your Women's Fund Miami-Dade, we always say your focus is our power. And that's truth because when you are focused on women and girls in Miami-Dade, women and girls become more powerful. So we thank you all for being here. Your Women's Fund has 4 pillars: freedom from violence, you know us for economic mobility, health and well-being, and leadership. And it's not only about you seeing yourselves in positions of leadership, but access to leadership. And that's what our incredible mayor is allowing us to all do tonight. So thank you. Thank you. Quick thank yous and ask for your participation. So one, please say who you are, say hello in the chat, converse, please do, and put your questions in the Q&A tab and participate in the polls because your voice is your power. So please, we do pay attention. And onward to welcome also the incredible, powerful barrage of partners that we have, community partners who have lent their networks and their logos to join us this evening. Look at them all here, and there are many more here in the audience today. We've had a huge RSVP turnout. Everybody here is co-hosting this gathering with us. So we thank you. Your presence and your partnership is our collective power. So I am going to ask you to please know that the different languages are there, and the information is there in the chat on how to access the different languages. And with no further delay, I'm going to ask Ms. Cassandra Arnold to please let us know who else is here from the mayor's team. Cassandra?
Hi, thank you so much. As always, we are excited to join the Women's Fund and your amazing, amazing partners. Thank you to the board and thank you to you especially for the commitment to not only women and girls, but to the community as a whole. I just want to reaffirm our commitment to your stakeholders. We are committed to hearing you out. That's why we're excited about this conversation. One that it will be engaging, transparent, and one that allows you to be a part of the process, to be a part of local government. But it couldn't be done without my amazing team, our engagement, our equity and engagement team. And it just shows the commitment from the mayor that we not only engage pre and during budget, but also after budget. I think it's for us more transformational than transactional. So without further ado, just want to introduce some of our fearless engagers. Of course, we have our Director of Engagement, which is Ibis Valdez. We have Brenda Lapon, which is our Senior Advocate and Engagement Manager for older adults, mental health and disabilities. We have Jason Smith, our Director of Equity, Michelle Johnson, Faith and Community Leadership Manager, Akila Martin Passe, Special Events and Projects Manager, Pat Morris, our Senior Manager for Civic and Philanthropic Partnerships, and last but not least, Trayvon Pierre, our External Affairs Coordinator. But of course, none of this wouldn't be possible without our fearless leader. And I always say this, and although this is our last virtual town hall, this will not be the last opportunity for you to engage as a part of the process, as we have upcoming in-person town hall starting tomorrow at the main library at 6 p.m. But it goes without saying that our mayor, who is committed to collaboration, our mayor who is committed to ensuring that you have a voice, our mayor who's on this call, and I know you can't wait to hear from her. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you my mayor, your mayor, I like to say the incomparable, the one and only, Daniella Levine Cava.
Thanks so much, Cassandra. Thanks to Maria and the whole Women's Fund leadership and members. You are great, extraordinary. I've been with you for decades. And shout out to Claudia Kitchens. Hey, Claudia. Very, very excited as well that you're on. So good afternoon, everyone. I did a quick, as you were getting on, that there are some repeats. So some of you have heard this presentation before, but maybe there'll be a few little modifications. So stay tuned. And I want to thank everyone for being here. It has really been a whirlwind since we released the budget. It was 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, I can't believe that. July 15th. Yes, it was 2 weeks ago. It has truly been monumental, the amount of involvement and communication that we're having with the community and commissioners and others. Of course, we started early this year. We started in May because we knew this was a particularly challenging budget year and we wanted to give everyone a heads up. So for the last 2 weeks, we've focused on one thing, and that is engaging with our community members. And this is my 5th year, my 5th budget as your mayor, and certainly it is the most difficult. It has been very difficult personally for me. No secret, we've had to make some difficult choices. I know you've heard about that. We're going to talk a lot about that in today's conversations. I wish we were not here, but we are here. And so we're going to tell you how we got here. So we are all in this together, and we're only going to get out of this together. So this is not just a Miami-Dade County issue. It's certainly a state and national issue as well. Vital social services and arts and culture are under fire from all directions. It's happening everywhere. And so it's more important than ever that we collaborate and form partnerships with government and community organizations and philanthropy to lift each other up and to fill in where we're facing roadblocks. So there's still an opportunity to help people. Of course, that's what we're all here for. And we can work smarter, and we have to work together. So now I'm going to get into the business of what's happening. How we got here, the perfect storm. Give me just 1 second. Okay, the perfect storm. So I think you all know that engagement is the cornerstone of my administration. These frank discussions are so very important. We're going to level set with you. I did propose this on July 15th. The most important part was the millage rate. We wanted to keep it flat and not increase it and not to cut it. We really cannot afford this year to cut it. We proposed a flat millage. The board agreed with us. They still can vote again in September to change it. So it's really important that we stay together. So how did we get here? Increased demands on resources from new constitutional offices. So in 2018, there was a referendum on the ballot. It was very long and complicated. Probably most of us don't remember it. And it didn't pass by the requisite 60% of Miami-Dade, but it did pass statewide. And now finally we have new constitutional offices. And you can see the 5 that are there. We had already 2, but they were more united with our administration. And now they are more individualized, independent offices. And of course, we added the sheriff, the supervisor of elections, and the tax collector. We also, if you could go to the next slide, have already had cuts at the state and federal level, significant cuts. And we also have real and anticipated threats to our revenue. Our property rolls are, despite the continued construction, are not growing at the same pace. They are still growing, but they're anticipated to slow down. And that will mean that we're not going to keep up with inflation. Obviously, we have inflation. Everyone does. And some of the costs are hitting us hard in the county. And certainly we're anticipating with tariffs, other things will go up as well. And so all of that means that the services and everything we provide costs more money. So this is an overall look at our budget in the county. We're at about $13 billion overall, but 34%, so roughly a third, is capital. We're not going to be talking about that today because the part that really is at risk are the general funds, which are part of the operating. So 2/3 are operating, but you could see we further divide it into, I'm just here. Okay, I'm catching up with my notes here. I need to tell you a little bit more about the cuts. So the state cut in their final budget at the end of June, our sales tax revenue that affected our transit by 27 million, our business rent tax, which also affected transit and also affects other parts of our budget, the documentary stamp tax, and there were also vetoes to things that we were hoping and needed library renovations, parks, Biscayne Bay, the Tri-Rail, big challenge for our transit riders. So really, really a challenge. And we did lower the millage twice to historic levels. And as I said, we are keeping it flat in our proposal. The board agreed, but they could still lower it, which would be really difficult to overcome if they reduce our revenues further. Okay, please go back again, slide back. I'm not done. Okay, so the proprietary fund, so of the operating 2/3, which is an overall $8 billion, roughly half are the proprietary, which we cannot touch to deal with our budget shortfall. The budget shortfall is in general funds, which I'll go over in a minute. And then the tax supported is where we can touch, even though some of that tax supported is dedicated millage. Okay, now we'll go to the next slide. Okay, you could see here that on the left are those funds that are fee-based. That also includes RER, which is basically our building department, permitting. So water and sewer, solid waste, airport, seaport, they raise their own revenues from fees, and we can't take that money and put it for other purposes, and it has to stay there. Our tax supported includes the constitutional offices, which is about 44% of our overall shortfall right now. Corrections, transportation and public works, parks, cultural affairs, and also our nonprofit grants are all in that general fund area. As I said before, libraries and fire are tax supported, but they have their own dedicated millage, and we can't move from one category to another. So we are very limited in the places that we can go to close the gap. So please, let's look at the next slide. All right, here's again a little more detail about the overall picture. And please note that we have the sales tax amount going down because of cuts at the state level, the property tax not going down, but not growing at the same pace to keep up with our increased costs. The gas tax, we're going to talk about hopefully increasing it just a little bit. Federal and state grants, we've done remarkably well, probably one of the leaders in the country, but that is now coming, unfortunately, to an end. The rescue plan dollars are used up, and we know that in the new administrations, there will be less funding available for grants. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is a little bit more about the gap. The constitutional offices, as you see, almost half of our budget gap, 402. And of course, they are creating their own offices and administration, so that does cost more money. So, but it drives us to make these cuts that are necessary on our general revenue side. I want to point out as well the transit operational shortfall, 13% on one of the gray slivers. That is very critical, and we'll get into some more detail about transit, which obviously is essential. Legislative directives are things that the commission directs us to do that might not have anything to do with our regular programming and budgets, some special programming and initiatives, so that is also significant. And that's a little shorthand picture. Okay, so how did we approach this exercise? $402 million. We know that there are certain things that are core that we cannot cut, that people just depend upon us every day. We have to pick up the trash, the water has to be clean and run through your faucets, and your sewer system needs to work. Public safety, obviously, number one. We are one of the safest metros in the country. That was true when I was responsible for police and continues under the sheriff. We also have, as part of our public safety, our fire rescue, our emergency management, and corrections. Housing has been a top priority for us because we know the cost of living has been so high, really one of the highest in the country relative to our incomes. So we have doubled through dedicated sources like our surtax money that comes from commercial real estate transactions. We've doubled the money that we've spent, and we've been able to stabilize the rental market, which is really so valuable. Roads and transit, obviously the roads have to be safe. Transit has to run on time. People have to depend upon it. That is primarily a general fund, just like public safety, general fund. Our libraries, which are, by the way, we have 50 of them. They are award-winning, of course. And then our social services, which we are combining into a continuum, and you can hear more about that later from Kathy Burgos, our our chief of community services, and we are taking a no wrong door approach where any place you go in the county, you get access to all of our services that you might need, and everybody has been cross-trained. Okay, let's keep going. We also know that we have to be good stewards of our public dollars, so we've worked on that throughout my administration, but particularly in this one, we launched the WISE 305 effort. It's an acronym, and we're very, very proud of some of the things that we have already come up with. Let me just see here. I'm way behind on my slides. So just to put it in context, the constitutional offices, we programmed each of them for a growth of about 7%, which we thought was reasonable and realistic given all the budget headwinds. And we have within our county administration consolidated. We've cut in our general fund departments between 10 and 35% to realize the $402 million of savings. I'm sorry, just go back again. I wasn't quite done. So some of the things that we've done to streamline, we, as I said, preserved core services, but we also had to cut some positions to balance the budget. And we cut over 300 positions. Fortunately, we planned ahead and only 140 of those were occupied. So that's 140 people that either will have to find other vacancies within the county for which they're eligible, or unfortunately will lose their jobs at the end of September. We are also working with our employees to understand ways that we can consolidate services. For example, we in the savings side, we consolidated 6 departments into 3 to eliminate duplication. Those consolidations saved us $33 million. So just to be very clear, that was a very important part of the calculus to get to 402. Also investments in technology to make things more streamlined, and that saves the public money and time as well as our staff. And finally, efficiency. We're looking at all the older resolutions and policies of the county to see where we could cut some red tape and again, save time and money and streamline services. So let's go ahead and look at the next slide. So we're hearing from our community about priorities. Obviously, we started in May, earlier this year than ever, to give people a heads up. We are having our last virtual town hall for a special group, yourselves, today, but we also are going live into the community starting tomorrow and through August 7th with 6 in-person town halls. Okay, next slide. We also are proposing some revenue increases. The gas tax, like I mentioned before, the state allows us to collect up to 5 cents per gallon. We used to do that, but it was reduced someplace along the line to 3. Over half of the counties collect the full 5, and the South Florida counties all collect 5. That money goes directly for transportation infrastructure. And as I mentioned, that is a general fund function, and we're having to cut back. And so these dollars are critical for safety on the roads and sidewalks and bridges. We also are proposing a solid waste increase, fee increase of 1%. That's maximum $7 per household per year. And that is necessary because, again, costs have gone up and we can't subsidize with general revenue, and we need to cover our costs. We're also moving ahead with the board's recommendation for a waste to energy facility. Obviously, that will cost money, and we need to have funds for whatever we do in the future with solid waste. And then our water fees, we did propose a 6% rate increase. We have major infrastructure projects we are obligated to complete by federal and state mandates, and to make sure that our system doesn't break down, doesn't pollute our waterways, and that we can continue to provide the outstanding water service. In the transit area, we are proposing a 50-cent per ride increase. We have not increased in over 10 years. Other jurisdictions peg their transit fare on the percentage of what transit fare box covers. Ours is only 11% of the total, which is very, very low. and yet we've been able to keep our fares low. We've got 40% of our riders for free or reduced fare, which is much higher than other places. We want to keep it that way, but we are really forced to maintain our basic transit system. We have to recommend a modest increase. So we also are looking at some increases in some of our parks functions. Some of the marinas, cancellation fees for golf games, and we are looking at some reductions in programming at the parks, not closing parks, but reducing programming somewhat, because unfortunately it's one of the areas that is general fund, and we have to find a way to get to that 402. Okay, next slide. So we received the budget submissions from the constitutional offices, and by now we did receive even the tax collectors, which was not due until August 1. So now we know what each of them is proposing. We did budget, as I say, at 7%. Some of them are proposing higher amounts, and those higher amounts, if adopted, would mean we'd have to find other cuts in our budget than what we've already come up with. We told you about the community town halls. And the formal budget hearings, I think most of you on this call are very familiar, will be evenings on September 4th and on 18th. And they just announced today a workshop on August 20th. It will not be for voting, it will not be for public testimony, but it will be an opportunity for the commissioners to talk through the proposed budget and make any suggestions so that we all have time to make adjustments prior to the budget hearings. We hope that they'll keep the millage flat. I'm grateful that a number of people who've been writing with their concerns about some of the proposed cuts are also emphasizing the need to keep the millage rate flat. They can't go up, but they could go down, and we just cannot afford that. So I'm going to now get into some specifics about our services to women and girls in this budget. So in our parks department, which of course is for everyone, our parks are for everyone, but we do have some particular programs that really address some of the needs of our girls that are near and dear to Women's Fund and partners. Our Fit to Play and Fit to Lead programs are funded specifically by the arena naming rights. So CASEA is paying for the Peace and Prosperity Plan that includes those programs. We also, and you can see it's a very comprehensive program. It's jobs paid above minimum wage, paid at living wage rates, as well as mentoring, physical, emotional, and social skills. We also have our summer arts program at our women's park. Girls Got Game, an annual event for the girls at Tropical Park, very uplifting. Some of our children and families programs are critically important here, 101 million in our early Head Start and Head Start. And our senior centers are continuing. All participants will be served. We are forced to economize because of federal budget cuts to close a couple that had not very many participants, and they'll all be redirected to other sites. And the same with our adult day care centers, so our meals and day care centers. And we're working actively with our partner organizations to make sure nobody loses out. On our next slide, we'll tell you a little bit about our services and social services and juvenile services. Our juvenile, and these two departments will be combined in our proposed budget, and really it makes sense for them. Juvenile services has been award-winning, but it's quite small and is really part of a continuum of service to families from birth to older age. And we are, as I say, award-winning, using best practices. We partner with a lot of community organizations such as Girl Power Rocks, You Rock Girl Power. We also have a civil citation program that steers successful participants away from having to enter the criminal or juvenile justice system. And we have a very, very low recidivism rate, 3%. We are serving in our shelters for domestic violence victims, including legal counseling, about 3,000 victims per year, and 30,000 households are helped with their energy costs. 2,500 veterans are helped to obtain necessary benefits, and we have 270,000 meals through Meals on Wheels, and we have served 1.1 million meals to our youth during our out-of-school summer months. Okay, next slide. So we're going to ask you, I know you're going to ask us questions and also for help. And we want to kind of start out by asking you for help too. We want you to please advocate for the fact that this is a hard budget year and help people understand how hard it is and that there are difficult choices to be made. And we want you to level with your communities about that reality and the difficult times that we face. We also hope that if you're in a position to invest additional resources, that you will do so and that you will partner with your sister organizations to be able to maximize the impact and avoid duplication wherever possible. And we hope that you'll be willing after your study and after the final budget comes out, we hope you'll be able to support our budget to the commission and to the community. So now I'm looking forward to answering your questions. And I know there are some that were teed up from before. Next slide.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm going to be the moderator of those questions. We're going to be alternating between some of them, of some of our partner organizations, some that were sent from the public that responded to our open call for questions in advance, and some that are here in the Q&A. So I'll be queuing those up, and we're going to start at home because we can, and we're going to welcome our Director of Research and Policy, Viviana Alvarado Pacheco, to ask the first question.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. We really appreciate it. So my first question is, as the funding for CVAC North remains a departmental operational unmet need, when will we see this changing, and what funding does it depend on?
Yes, thank you so much. And I know you've been advocating for that for quite a few years, and we support you in that advocacy. And by the way, as commissioner, I endorsed and fought for adding CVAC centers. So I'm with you 100%. So we were able to open the South Dade CVAC in partnership with Mujer and Christie House. So that was a great milestone. And as for the North, we are in the process. We do have a person, an advocate who's stationed there, but we want to expand. And we have been in communication with the North Dade Justice Center that is undergoing renovations to provide us with some additional space so that we could welcome partner organizations to have a more comprehensive service delivery in the north part of the county. So the interim plan, while we're waiting for that to move forward, is to have some staff positioned there. And we have Sonia Grace on the line, who's our Director of Community Action Human Services Department, who could tell us a little bit more about that if you would like.
Yes, good evening, everyone. As Madam Mayor just stated, we have advocates for victims stationed at the courthouses on the north end. And we also streamline the process and leverage our resources by working with the Sheriff's Office, as well as the Miami Gardens Police Department and all the police departments on the north end, so that it will mirror what we have, as you know, in the Grove. And so this will allow us to continue to ensure that the victims receive the wraparound services we provide and what they need.
You know, I want to underscore that this is really our approach to No Wrong Door and partnerships. We can't do this alone, and we don't want to duplicate anything that is already being provided. And we are leaning on our community partners to work with us, and we want to provide space, opportunities to utilize our space, our neighborhood service centers, now called No Wrong Door centers, our libraries, our park facilities, and as much as we can co-locate, the better.
Thank you so much.
Makes so much sense. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you so much, Ms. Grice. Thank you, Sonia. The next question was sent to the public from the public request. It comes from Maria Lorenz from the Miami Workers Center. Good evening, Madam Mayor. She says, we want to thank you for your past support of the eviction diversion program, which has been a lifeline for the elderly, disabled, and families with small children on the brink of becoming homeless. Last year, over 3,000 families received the help they needed through this program. This past April, you publicly committed to funding the program at $3 million. As of today, the proposed budget only has 1 million allocated to the program, which would cut services to thousands and devastate constituents who fought hard to get this program started. What do you plan to do to ensure this program is funded at the $3 million level?
Yes, thank you so much. And yes, I'm extremely committed to this program. I mean, it was created with public advocacy, but also with my strong commitment to have an Office of Housing Advocacy, to have an eviction diversion program. And we do have a really great report on the results that will be rolling out shortly to the board. That is a compilation of, because it's a partnership again of everybody working together. You know, I knew this was a really tough budget year. And when I talk about it, my intention was to make a 3-year commitment of $3 million. I know that's not maybe what people heard, but I want to underscore, because you all know, I have not recommended any other nonprofit. I mean, I just want to be super clear of all the, because we really are in this tough situation and we've essentially zeroed out all of the nonprofits. And we hope that there'll be more coming along through some possibilities with the tax collector, not utilizing all the funds that he collects off the top. There's some possibilities, but we don't know now what that will be. And I view this program as essential. But the good news is that we've been able to find funding through HUD monies, and it will be moving into the Housing and Community Development Department. And so I would say, you know, $1 million is a placeholder. And we are going to work with the Housing and Community Development Office. And we need everyone's help to make sure HUD doesn't cut funds, because that is very much also part of what's happening in Washington. But we are planning to, I'll put it this way, at least invest $1 million. So, you know, I would like it to be a full 3 million. I am not optimistic it can be a full 3 million, but it is my commitment for the remainder of my term to continue to provide this vital service. And just as a reminder to everyone, I propose the budget, the commission approves the budget. So, you know, not every commissioner is as excited as I am about this program. So it is really important for people to understand the impact. I've had people say, well, it's just a matter of delay. You can't really change. Of course, when we had the eviction moratorium and we had the ERAP dollars, we were able to really change so many lives. It was so very effective. Again, I think one of the best in the country, but if not the best, but because of our partnerships and so on. And I know that the outreach component of it is equally as important as the legal services component of it, because otherwise people won't know about the service. So I'm fully committed to continuing those. And I will be advocating as well with the commission to maintain those services.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And let me underscore what the mayor is telling all of us. We have done advocacy trainings annually. They are on our website. Everybody has a commissioner. Our commissioners also respond very well to public comment. Please use your voice. It doesn't have to be perfect. It needs to be respectful and informed. So please take everything you've learned today, the issues that you care about, and see what your commissioner and commissioners are leaning towards. And please make your voices heard with your commissioners who represent us all as well. The next question, Madam Mayor, I'm taking from one of our attendees who says, Miami needs the arts. How will you make up the budget shortfall this year without the arts? To this person, Miami is nothing.
Yeah. You know, I'm an arts lover. I'm a nonprofit champion, right? These things are so deeply upsetting to me personally. I just want to say, of course, that doesn't solve the problem of those who need those funds to operate. I understand. I just, you know, advocacy is important, as we just heard, but at the same time, we have a $402 million shortfall. And we've already cut 360 positions. We've already eliminated various offices. We've reduced some departments 10 above 10%. And I don't know exactly how we're going to bridge this gap. We have convened a meeting with philanthropic organizations. We're talking to them about helping out as we did last year. I don't know that it can reach the level. again, we're looking for manna from heaven, I guess is what I would have to say. And if we get that manna from heaven, we will change our recommendation. But right now, I'm really left with no choice. And it pains me greatly. And I know that we are unique and special in how we, in our artistic dynamism. And of course, we're a destination for arts and culture. And we will continue to work with capacity building, coalition building, whatever we can do. And again, we're hoping for some manna from heaven. And I also hope that this will be an opportunity to be inventive and because again, this is going to be recurring. This is going to be every year. County government is smaller. We are sharing the resources with constitutional offices. The state and federal government are also cutting. And so we need to really think out of the box how to continue our great work, your great work.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I ask our team to invite Sophia?
And I'm so sorry, Maria, let me just say too, we do have some dedicated sources for the arts that are not general revenue. General revenue, which is the property tax and some of the state taxes, are the ones that we have to cut because that's what we've lost. But we do have some dedicated dollars from the tourist development and convention development taxes. And P.S., the state tried to cut those too. So we worked very hard to prevent those cuts, but we all have to be united in our message, how critical they think that we shouldn't be different. We shouldn't be special. We shouldn't be allowed those opportunities, but we need those dollars because we are unique and we do have very special assets and programming that need support.
Thank you. We welcome Sophia Janssens to ask the next question. Welcome.
Hello, good evening, Madam Mayor. My name is Sophia Janssens. I am a South Florida resident and a student at Brown University, and this summer I'm working with the Women's Fund of Miami-Dade as a policy assistant. On behalf of the Women's Fund, I would like to ask regarding the Office of Resilience, how will the budgetary and staff changes affect the heat season campaign?
Yes, thank you so much. As I think you all know, we were the first in the world to have a chief heat officer, Jane Gilbert, who sadly has left us, but she's left us behind with the tools and the commitment to carry forward. I'm going to say a little bit about that, and then I'm going to turn to Lauren Parra, who is our Chief Resilience Officer, Chief Bay, and Chief Heat Officer, all in one. There you go. We saved a little bit of money there, gave her 3 jobs to do. And not only that, but she's going to be our DERM director, our new Department of Environmental Regulation. So we're very excited about that. So, what we've done, we learned so much from Jane and from our global work on heat that we have incorporated it into our regular practice. So, for example, we have, hello. We have changed our, I'm sorry, let me see here. Here it is. We changed our hurricane season, if you will, now to a heat season and a flood season. We have all of them. Of course, they kind of overlap. And when we do our regular hurricane rollout for preparedness, we also prepare for heat. We've also created cooling centers, a network throughout the county. We also changed with the National Weather Service what is an extreme heat temperature. We lowered the temperature because we know because of the other conditions, extreme heat happens at a lower temperature. So compared to other places, we actually have our own unique heat index as a result. We also have substantial communications about it. So really we haven't retreated in any way. Let me ask if Lauren could come on and talk about our heat season work as well.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Sophia, for the question. So I think the most important thing for you all to know is that in the mayor's proposed budget, she has kept in the line item for the extreme heat marketing plan. And so I think to Maria's earlier point, your ability to come out and help us and support, keep these critical items in the budget is so, so important. We'd of course love to continue doing this work. The partnership with the Women's Fund has been so effective because we know that a lot of the women experiencing pregnancy or older adults are the most vulnerable to extreme heat. And so again, the mayor of all of these priorities is continuing to champion the extreme heat campaign, but we definitely need your help to make sure that it makes it across the finish line in the budget.
And some nonprofits are participating with our Department of Emergency Management. And by the way, that is a department. It didn't used to be. I elevated it because of the importance of dealing with disasters. So we have a resilience assistant director there, very engaged, and we have many nonprofits who are participating as part of our core team, and they're getting training, and they're partnering to actually do education in the community as well. So we're not just doing it ourselves. We're creating networks to spread the word. Okay, I see. Erie, is there people with disabilities? Yes. So we need you to help us with special outreach so everybody can get the word. And one of my pet peeves when I came in as commissioner, actually, because I experienced Hurricane Irma, that was my first hurricane as a county commissioner, and it was a doozy. That we have you can sign up in advance if you're a vulnerable resident and you're going to need help with evacuation. And unfortunately, people don't really sign up in advance. And then last minute, they're scurrying, and we're busily trying to figure out how to help people if they need to evacuate. So that's something that you can really also help us spread the word that we do have a registry for people who really do need help when in a disaster.
Attendees, Madam Mayor, in this audience today have incredible networks. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of citizens who are in your immediate networks, community partners, and incredible attendees and participants today. So you have it. You heard it from the mayor. We have a call to action.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, the next question came from the public solicitation. It comes from Sharon Langer, who's on the Casa Valentina board. And Sharon's question is, what amount of funds are available for CBO grants, and when will the current grantees know if and how much funding they will receive?
Well, hi, Sharon, my good friend and founder of Casa Valentina, as well as, of course, the great work she's doing with DIG and so many other things. Those funds are not in the proposed budget. That's the answer. So it was 10 years of a competitive grant cycle that kept getting renewed. Some of you will remember very well. There were 2 efforts to try to start over with a new solicitation, both of which were eventually voted down by the Board of County Commissioners. We worked hard under my leadership, my first effort, to do a better job, one that would pass muster. And it ran into some headwinds as well. And then, of course, we started having this I'll call it come to Jesus discussion about the budget. And we never released those results, and not obviously people who had received those competitive grants in the past were not programmed necessarily to receive new grants, and there were others who had applied. And those funds are part of the proposed cutbacks.
Our next question comes from the audience, and it's from Philanthropy Miami. How can nonprofits benefit from the incredible resources from Strive 305? Many could benefit from resources and tools of how to run a business, especially now with public funding cuts across the board.
So Strive 305 is a program that I invented. I actually started as a county commissioner and then expanded it countywide. It's been very successful, especially in the last year or so, in reaching over 15% of our small businesses, and all kinds of inventive programs, ambassadorships, people become spokespeople, spread the word. We have coaching. We have an amazing hub, strive305hub.com, that was funded by Wells Fargo. And our goal is to reach out to all of the small businesses. We also have access to the RISE Fund, which is a replenishing fund at the Dade Federal Credit Union. There's $8 million sitting there to be drawn upon. We've already dispensed 4 million, but it keeps replenishing, so it's very available. We are partnering with Beacon Council to continue that work. So it will be still an emblematic program of the county, but it will be operated day to day in the Beacon Council. That is how we're planning to keep that going. So we hope you'll check it out, anybody who's not familiar, and take advantage because it really is very valuable.
The amazing partners from the Beacon Council are here in the house with us. Special shout out to the Beacon Council. And they're also partnering with us, especially with the owner operators of the early child learning centers that are such essential businesses. So shout out
Great.
to Beacon Council and to our team to make
Yeah.
sure that those community partners are aware of these services, because those small businesses we
Right.
cannot do without, right?
By the way, just little historical note, I worked on those issues myself many years ago, and we were working on creating I guess this was before Obamacare, to help them have access to health insurance, like a group insurance plan. Do we want, oh yes, thank you. Manny Sid, who is now our lead on Strive 305, is on the line. If Manny would like to say a little bit more, because there's a lot going on with Strive 305.
Thank you, Mayor, and it's definitely exciting times for Strive 305. Tomorrow, we're actually going to be sharing the mayor's vision for creating a Miami-Dade County that works for everyone, utilizing Strive 305 throughout the country. We have cities throughout the nation that are going to join us in a webinar to use the tool that the mayor has created as an example for the rest of the nation. And even for nonprofits, on the hub, we have a navigator that has help for grant writing services for nonprofits and for small businesses, legal assistance.
Every time I hear from Manny, there's something new that's happening in Strive 305. That's great. Sorry.
So no, and the mayor's right. I mean, the mayor has tasked us with ensuring that we are that one-stop shop, and every day we're optimizing it. And we just added a new tool where we have CPA firms that do free services for nonprofits and small businesses to make sure that P&Ls, balance sheets, reporting is all done properly. So it really has become that example for the entire nation. And the idea was incubated here with the mayor, and now the Beacon Council is going to help take it to the next level, which is really, really, really exciting. And I think the future is very bright for our small business community and those nonprofits that need help. Nobody gets turned away with Strive 305 on the hub.
And you know, I love what Manny is saying, that nonprofits are small businesses too. And that has always been my approach, because of course I was a nonprofit leader and inventor, and you know, a lot of the same issues. I like to say we're social entrepreneurs. We innovate without the capital too often. But in any event, please, everyone take advantage of that.
I know our team works just as hard as I did when I was in for-profit, that's for sure. I'm with you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to welcome Samantha Barrios to ask the next question. Samantha, great to see you.
Great to see you too, Maria. Thank you so much. Thanks to the Women's Fund and to Mayor Levine Cava for getting us together tonight. Madam Mayor, Florida loses nearly 3,200 lives to gun violence each year, with Miami-Dade communities being a disproportionate share of that pain. In response to a surge in violence 4 years ago, voters made it clear they wanted stronger gun safety laws, and programs like the Office of Neighborhood Safety have been critical to that progress. With its proposed elimination in 2025 and the 2026 budget, how will the county maintain its commitment to preventing gun violence and investing in the communities most at risk? Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, thanks so much, Samantha. And that was one of my special initiatives, if you will. And again, very painful to have to scale back things that, you know, allowed us to reach that number of 402 million. I'm going to ask Kathy Burgos, who's our Chief of Community Services, to address that specifically and share some of what we're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor, Samantha, Myra, you get a heart. Samantha, thank you for your question. It's such a great question. I think it's really important to point out something that the mayor stated at the beginning of this call. Our peace and prosperity plan will continue. That's funding from the naming rights. What I mean about that is that we're going to keep programming like what she mentioned with Fit to Lead, allowing services, allowing at-risk young people to have jobs, as well as assessment and linkages to services. In addition to that, the mayor mentioned merging Community Action Human Services as well as Juvenile Services Department. What that allows you to do is that it provides you a continuum of services for at-risk and children who may have problems or contact with law enforcement. The mayor also mentioned the nationally known Juvenile Services Department. It also includes a component that's called the Anti-Violence Initiative that really works on providing services by licensed clinical social workers, our hospital-based violence intervention program, and most importantly, and I can't say this enough, our mayor is a social worker by trade. She looks at this work through the lenses of prevention, intervention, suppression, and reentry. So you'll see and continue to see a continuum throughout departments as well as portfolios, because we understand the importance of not only serving gun violence victims, but also taking a family-focused approach to addressing gun violence. And I'm excited to report that gun violence locally has decreased. And the mayor mentioned that at the beginning, right? We know that our police department was under her administration or under her leadership. So it's important to show that continuum. And by merging programming, not only are we able to leverage those resources, but continue, and we ask all of you, and continue to collaborate with you all to really provide those services that are needed by these families.
Kathy, thank you so much. And I want to invite, I believe Sharia Green is with us. She's our director of the Miami-Dade Corrections and Rehabilitation Department to talk about some of the things that we're doing with those who are under our care in our jail system. And we have greatly enhanced our reentry preparation and a range of services, and again, partnerships with some of you. So Sharia, could you, and before she speaks, let me just tell you all, because it hasn't gotten really into the news yet, but we had a major milestone last week. After over 10 years of federal oversight, we were freed of that oversight because we are now considered a model jail system. So we had been considered needing that kind of monitoring and oversight by the federal government. And after the very hard work that was done by Sharia, by her team, by James Reyes, who came in as our turnaround director and is now our chief of public safety, incredible milestones were met. So congratulations, Sharia, and please, if you could describe some of what you're doing.
Absolutely, and thank you, Madam Mayor, for the kudos and the kind sentiments. And so there are a few services that we provide to our inmate population, so I'll share a few with you. The first is the Human Trafficking Awareness Group for Incarcerated Women. We offer this at one of our facilities for our female population. We basically provide a dedicated group that empowers women to recognize trafficking dynamics, reclaim their narratives, and build resilience. Another program that we offer is Breaking the Silence Domestic Violence Group, also offered at TGK, and this group gives incarcerated survivors of domestic violence a voice, tools for healing, and hope for a different future. We have our Pride and Empowerment Group, and this group gives them space to feel, our population, a space to feel seen, respected, and supported. And also, I'm proud to share that we have a trauma-informed officer training. And so our officers are being equipped to see beyond behavior, to understand the trauma that often drives it. This shift improves safety, reduces conflict, and promotes a culture of care behind our walls. We also host the Miami-Dade County Human Trafficking Coalition, and we don't work in silos here. MDCR leads the coalition that connects agencies, shares intelligence, and ensures coordinated services for trafficking victims countywide. And we also have an online victim support directory. We created this public-facing web resource that helps victims of crime, including those with loved ones in custody, connect with critical services and support. And it's accessible, survivor-focused, and it is growing. So this is a few of the services that we provide for our inmate population, and our goal is to build that collaboration with our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Samantha Barrios and Giffords, for all the work that you do day in and day out.
Yes,
And
Giffords.
The
Yes.
next question came from the public as well. It comes from Jasmine McKenzie from the McKenzie Project. How are women of transgender experience reflected in this budget? Miami-Dade County has one of the highest reported cases of violence against Black trans women in the United States. According to the Human Rights Campaign, Florida consistently ranks among the deadliest states for transgender people, with Black trans women making up the vast majority of the victims. In 2023 alone, over 90% of known trans homicide victims were Black. Many of these deaths occurred in Florida. Given this crisis, have you considered partnering with a coalition of Black trans women to meaningfully inform your work? Collaboration with these most impacted is essential to dismantling the political and systemic barriers that block our access to safety, housing, healthcare, and opportunity. We are fighting to survive, thrive, and live, not to be remembered only as another hashtag.
Well, thank you so much for bringing that forward. And a couple of things that I'm going to mention, and then I'm going to thank you because, of course, we could do more. So we want to definitely see how we can do more. I know it's been an issue in our correction facilities in the past, and we worked really hard to improve our handling of those who enter our facility. And I believe that we are following best practice protocol about that particular population that unfortunately is coming into our system. I also want to say that we recently did an LGBTQ survey that went to philanthropy and other places. And one of the findings of that was that it wasn't enough to say we were all inclusive. We need to be targeted or people get left behind. So with that said, of course, we have, a very active commission in the county that is, really very active. And, I will mention, you might not know this, but essentially I was elected to take care of making sure that trans rights were respected in the county. Because when I ran in 2014 as county commissioner, the SAVE, it was Save Date at the time, but SAVE had been lobbying to include trans in the human rights ordinance. And my predecessor blocked it. And so it was one of the rallying cries around my election to get me elected so I could change the balance on the commission and get that approved. And in fact, that's what I did. So just in case someone didn't know that, that's where I come from. But with that to be said, I think, you can help us. We have everybody's email contacts, but Maria, if you can help us get in contact, and we will have Kathy particularly reach out, and Sharia to see how we can be better informed and better provide better service.
Absolutely. Yes, we can. Madam Mayor, we have so many questions. So I'm going to, the next one is from an anonymous attendee here with us tonight. MDAS is under fire. The dogs are suffering with extreme heat, strep, zoo, and dying from heat-related issues. Who will hold them accountable?
Yeah, I'm really glad that this question is being asked because I think, unfortunately, there's so much misinformation in the social media space about our animal services. And we do have our director, Annette Jose, on, and she'll say a little bit more, but I just want to tell you, I am very proud of the work that we're doing, and I am very hands-on. I read all the emails I get. I get many, many emails about particular situations. I'm always reaching out to make sure that we're doing our very best. We are considered one of the better facilities in the country by consulting groups that we're working with. Of course, we could always do better. We do have an advisory group now that is also looking at those things, and we are a no-kill shelter, and we also follow the state Charlie's law, which make sure that we extend every possible opportunity to our pets. Unfortunately, we are very overcrowded. And that comes from, it's actually, I'm sure, a national phenomenon. I just read that all these ICE enforcement activities are contributing to the animal abandonment population. Think about that for a minute. We also know that as rents went up and people were having difficulty finding housing, that many apartments did not allow pets, so pets were also abandoned for that reason. And we've been working with our real estate groups to please pressure our management companies to allow pets, and that it's really inhumane to be so restrictive when it comes to people having pets in their homes. So those are just a few of the things, but we also have some really good news to share. We just completed an agreement with a developer that is buying us a piece of property to develop a new shelter in the South End. That will be built as quickly as possible under his guidance, so not county procurement, and it will house those animals that are overflow in Medley. Medley is an overflow facility. It was not meant to be used. We built a new shelter a few years back. It's state of the art in Doral, but the pets keep coming. And so we were forced to use this overflow. I know many people are concerned about the illness, which happens when dogs are confined in close quarters and for periods of time. And again, Annette can address that, but I will say this. We know it's hot because it's not an air-conditioned facility, but through various donations as well, we have not only obtained necessary fans, but we have recently received misters that have brought the temperature down, and no pet has died as a result of heat. And we have activities and cooling pools and many, many other things. So with all of the challenges that we are facing, I am proud of the job that we're doing, but we still need help. We need people to take these dogs. We also have a training program at boot camp and the jails where the dogs are trained. But please, if we could recognize Annette to add something more to what I've said.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't know what else I can add because it is correct. You're very involved and you're very up to date with all the challenges and the resources that we're bringing to face those challenges. But yes, Mayor, you are correct by stating that it is a national crisis, and we here in Miami-Dade County are responding to it as best we can. We are providing the best resources to our pets at Doral and at the Medley facility. We have improved the electrical grids there with your call to our facilities, county facilities department, which now we've installed even more fans with cooling mechanisms to keep the temperature down. All of this is just a Band-Aid on the real problem, which is that we need more adopters, we need more fosters. We know that pets don't belong in a shelter, they belong in a home. So we ask the community, everyone here, please share with your resources. Come and adopt from the shelter. That's how we're going to solve this problem. It is correct to say that no dog has died from any heat strokes, which has been shared erroneously on social media. We did have a bacteria that comes from when you have too many dogs living in close quarters. It just becomes very difficult to contain disease, but we have been able to do that. We're working with a national organization that looks at our processes, helps us build efficiencies, and helps us with our protocol to combat these diseases. So luckily today, we do not have this bacteria strepzo that we were dealing with a few weeks ago. And we continue to ask the community, please help us find fosters or adopters for our pets.
Another call to action. for this incredible network with us here today.
That's true. I told you we'd have a lot of asks of you. Yes, thank you.
Can I invite another amazing partner, the CEO of YWCA South Florida, Carrie Ann Royce? Welcome.
Good evening. Hello, Madam Mayor. First of all, I want to say that I know this is particularly tough. I cannot imagine how you have strived to just make the cuts and make the things happen that keep the essential services going. This has been incredibly difficult, and I know that your heart belongs to the nonprofit sector. And just know that we're advocating with you, and we're making sure that our boards, our communities, the women that we serve understand how difficult a time this is. So I thank you for that. And I thank the Women's Fund for bringing us together. With that, the proposed budget eliminates a number of essential services designed to protect access to the courts and the justice system for women, including our in-house court care program that the YWCA has been partnering with the 11th Judicial District to do together for over 20 years. This year, we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of parents and guardians that are utilizing this service due to the interests and needs that are expressed by the courts, of course. And we have expanded those essential services to the residents going to the courts to take care of administrative matters as well as respond to jury summons. How will the county administration ensure that women continue to have full access to defending their human rights in court and fully participate in all aspects of the civic process? And how can we come alongside you and hope that manna from heaven comes back into play so that we could do this? But how are they going to make sure that this access is guaranteed?
Yes, thank you so much, Carrie Ann, and for the important work that you're doing. I'm going to ask Sonia, who has oversight for our victims and domestic violence programs, to weigh in.
Hi, Sonia.
How are you? Good evening, everyone. So, Carrie Ann, I'm not sure if you know, I know we're trying to establish a partnership with you, but we do have 7 attorneys on staff that accompany our victims to court, and we also provide the wraparound services needed through those advocates, as well as the attorneys we have assigned to the court. So they also provide emotional support as well. So if you can probably reach out to, I think you've been working with our team to establish that.
We absolutely have, and especially where it
Okay.
comes down to childcare, which is where the gap
Right.
is.
Okay. So then we can
Childcare
talk.
is the specific gap in your funding. One of
Okay.
the things, I don't have any promises here or any silver bullets, but maybe there's a way that we can partner and somehow accomplish this. I just put it out there. So
We'll
let's
keep the conversation going, Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia.
You're welcome.
Thank you all. This is what it's about, working together. Next question, Madam Mayor, comes from the public who sent advanced questions. Monica Alfonso from Glenvar Heights, a South Miami resident. I use the Metro Connect service daily. It is a safe and reliable service. I use it to go grocery shopping, to my doctor, my bank, the Metro Rail to work, and to get to my church by I have been hearing from the drivers that the service might be canceled due to budget cuts. What is the plan?
Yes. So we have our Director of Transportation and Public Works on, I believe, Stacy Miller, and she can explain. And I just want to say before she talks about what services and how we're filling gaps, to just say transit is a huge priority for us. And we maintained all the basic services that are there, which we really, I would say some other city wouldn't have done that, or county wouldn't have done that, because the fare box is only 11% of the total, and we have 40% free and subsidized. So we want to make sure people are aware of free and subsidized service they might not know about, and we're going to make it easier for people to access that through use of the no wrong door approach to application assistance and the like. But at the end of the day, we're standing strong on transit, as strong as we possibly can, and to the exclusion of some other things that are also important. So, it's very heartbreaking because we know people benefit from that great program, but it's not sustainable. So Stacy, if you're there, could you speak to this point?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And while you summed it up beautifully, as usual, you are absolutely correct. Obviously, our Metro Connect service was 13 zones, a 14th zone, which was actually paid for by one of our municipalities. It did provide, I wouldn't say a core service, it was an ancillary service that unfortunately we can no longer afford moving into the future. As the mayor mentioned, we do have our core services are being maintained. And while we have asked for a modest increase, many of our expenses have gone up significantly. We have a significant funding gap moving into the future for operations and maintenance of our existing system. That's not to say that we wouldn't be excited to build additional services or continue additional services, but we have a massive shortfall moving forward on just operating our current system. The mayor has asked that I work with our local partners to try to augment, while that service may not be funded by the county, to try to find private service that may be able to substitute for the Metro Connect service that we had previously been able to provide.
Yeah, so that is, we're not making any promises, but we're trying to think outside the box and find a way to implement the service. And just to go back, maybe some people that are using Metro Connect, and I'm sorry, I don't know the person who spoke to anticipate what that might be, but we do have reduced income eligibility for reduced fares. We do have STS service, so special transportation service, that some people might not know that they're eligible for, and that is a door-to-door service. So we are planning to, and veterans also, and of course our Golden Passport. So we are working on making the applications for those things easier, as well as offering application assistance at various service centers so people can get help uploading applications so they could do things online.
So I hear that as a call to action.
A call to action. We want people to know about that, and we're going to roll out some public information about those opportunities. So that came, by the way, that came out of our special transportation town hall. So that came up last week, and so we're going to work on that. So, you know, we are listening. I want to ask my communications staff to please monitor the comments. I see comments are going by asking different questions. I'm not able to monitor it, obviously, because I'm engaged in this conversation, but I would like to make sure that somebody is monitoring. And if we miss it, Mariah, you could send it to us after so we can get back to people. Stacy, were you trying to say something else?
And Madam Mayor, you mentioned the Golden Passport and the Patriot Passport. We do have low income. We have discounted fares for students, for college students. We have corporate discount packages. We have so many various programs. They're all available to view on our website. You can just type in DTPW Fare Pass. But most of them are accessible via an online application. Some you do have to, for the low income, you do have to come in. There are some, there's some information that we don't want transmitted electronically. But other than that, we are trying to make all of these as easily accessible as possible. And as the mayor mentioned, we will be, while we have an actual outreach campaign regarding our different discounted and fare-free services, we will be ramping up in order to provide additional information to our patrons and those who wish to become patrons so that they can use transit.
Terrific. So we still have plenty of questions, so I'll zoom forward if it's okay, Madam Mayor. The next one comes from an attendee from Christ Congregational Church. Where do we stand on the promised increase to the eviction diversion program? It's more important than ever.
Yes, thank you. And we did speak about it a little bit earlier, but let me emphasize, this is the only nonprofit program that I have still recommended. And I've had to point that out to commissioners because when we meet with them, and which we've done multiple times as we've prepared this budget, and of course we made that very, very difficult recommendation to and support for CBOs and so on. I said that work was critically important of course, everything is critically important. I apologize because I know that people are hearing this and they think I don't care about the service they provide, and that's not true at all. I do feel that this was a commitment that we made because housing is a crisis in our community, and that this program has really assisted people to avoid eviction or at least delay it long enough to be able to have a dignified transition. So that is why I left it in the budget. It is moving to federally funded program sources in our Office of Housing and Community Development. And there is, by the way, some carryover. So there is actually, if you look in the budget book, there is $2 million in the budget, but I know that submissions are invoices are being submitted, and so last year's allocation will be used. But we hope to be able to increase that amount. I am pledging to you as mayor that for this and my next budget years in office, I will continue to support this work because I believe housing is a human right and because I undertook that commitment.
Thank you. The next question was submitted in advance from Makisa Lewis from My Sister Inc. What is needed to secure transitional housing for female veterans who are homeless or at the risk of being homeless?
Well, I believe we have Dolores Holly on the line. Dolores is our director of the Office of Housing Advocacy. Dolores, if you're there, we'd love to hear from you.
I am here, but I just walked back in. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Could the questioner repeat the question
Yeah.
so I don't get it wrong?
What is needed to secure transitional housing for female veterans who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless?
Oh, that's that's an excellent question. More funding, actually. We are working closely with the Homeless Trust and other partners to really to have a deeper conversation about the about this type of services. I would definitely say more funding and actually access to additional shelter spaces. I know Vicki Millette from the Homeless Trust is working on purchasing more shelter space. The Office of Housing Advocacy actually coordinated a housing advocacy meeting with a owner of 2 hotels who is looking to partner with the Homeless Trust and our other homeless partners. So we brought them to the table for Vicki and this and other homeless partners to have a conversation about maybe possibly not doing shelter, but probably offering space for individuals who are experiencing homelessness and have a home. We also have been in touch with Right at Home. So they have an excellent opportunity that we're now going to have a meeting in October. We just got word this week. So Right at Home has a new initiative, and this is to really take a deep dive in homelessness and to build that data. So they're going to be raising $100 million, of which each participating county will get 10 million. I'm happy to say that the Office of Housing Advocacy advocated for Miami-Dade County to be brought to the table. And so we do have a potential proposed site visit date that is coming up in October. And so I haven't even got a chance to tell Director Grice or the mayor.
No, didn't know about that.
I know, I just got the email and I responded back today. So that is good news, Madam Mayor and Director Grice. And we're looking forward for next steps. So we're really working hard to come up with innovative ways to try to tackle that type of situation.
Thank you so much, Dolores, and to your team. And let me mention too that I know we have representative of the Homeless Trust. I think Manny is on, and we would love to hear from him. But there is a preference in housing vouchers and different things for veterans. So there's Manny Soria. Thank you.
Yeah, 2-part answer. We're anticipating the federal NOFO, the Notice of Funding Opportunity, to offer new transitional housing opportunities this coming year. And also, if somebody, the question was specifically about veterans, and we work closely with the VA that has their grant per diem program, which is for veterans, specific transitional housing for veterans. I'm going to put my contact information in the chat so the person who asked could connect with me about how to apply for future funding opportunities and also how to connect with the VA.
Very helpful.
Thank
Great.
you. And our team also has this email because it was submitted in advance. So Daniela from our team can help support there as well. On with more questions, Madam Mayor. Andy Arthur says, thank you so much for giving this opportunity. With the combination of the Department of Cultural Affairs and libraries, is the long-term idea for cultural affairs to be under the library's dedicated millage rate?
Well, thank you. That's a very sophisticated question, I have to say. And, you know, the millage for libraries was approved by the voters. So any change would have to be approved by the voters. And that was not something that we had put on our, you know, to-do list, but it's an interesting idea. I mean, obviously, we are all looking for funds for these important things. So it does underscore the fact that this merged department, we can't, you know, it's sort of a delicate balance. I mean, really, with the cultural affairs general fund being reduced, we thought this was a way to help provide some backup support for the department, but also the libraries do provide venues and support for cultural activities within the library setting. So that is also a way, and actually there is some grant funding in the library budget that will be used for cultural grants. So I'm not privy right off the top of my head, and it's certainly not at the level of what unfortunately would be lost with cultural affairs, but within a library definition of what's allowed in library, there are some dollars for cultural affairs. But I just also want to underscore, because I don't think this was communicated very well by our team, the idea would be not to subsume it in libraries. It will be the arts and arts, culture, and libraries department. So it's not hidden, it's prominent. Of course, Ray Baker is the director, who is, you know, a great director, and that hasn't been his specialty, but there will be dedicated leadership in arts and culture to continue that work and be prominent in their role in the community. So we're not sacrificing our visibility. We're simply looking for streamlined administration and economies of scale.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor. Just to give you context, we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left for questions, and we've got lots of them. So I'm just going to go quick, rapid fire. Elizabeth from the audience today says, I'm very concerned about immigration and alligator Alcatraz. What is happening with youth that are being arrested?
You know, I just was talking to somebody today who told me that I don't know if I'm spilling the beans when I say this, but Senator Ileana Garcia, our state senator, is particularly concerned about this issue. And she is apparently working on something to try to make sure that children are not swept up in this process. So I didn't have a chance I was at a meeting with you on exploitation of women and girls. But she is working on something, and I know she's very dedicated to that. So hopefully she can help. But I can tell you what I'm doing. I don't know if you followed. The county owns the land. It's part of our aviation department. It was taken over by the state under emergency powers of the governor based on the immigration emergency from 2023, which has been extended repeatedly since that time. There's also state law that requires county officials responsible for corrections to cooperate with ICE enforcement. So there's a lot of laws that limit my ability to act. However, I am responsible for the well-being of our people and our environment. And of course, I'm concerned about both. And so I have communicated with the state on several occasions, and I've told them that I need access to the facility for ongoing monitoring. And I want to assure myself of the conditions as well of the people and the humanitarian issues, due process issues. All of this has been well publicized and multiple lawsuits have been filed, but also the environmental impacts, which I'm very concerned about as well.
Seeing a lot of support in the emojis, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Attendees here today. And attendees asked that why haven't we increased tangible property tax for businesses? Counties and other states pay tax for doing business in county. Do we tax businesses for doing business in county?
So the state controls what taxes are levied to a real extent. We have to have permission from the state to levy a tax. And in fact, the legislature just reduced taxes on businesses. So that was one of the last minute surprises that we got at the end of June, that a business rental tax was eliminated that actually paid a lot of our transit. I believe we have David Clodfelter on, who's our budget director. If David could comment about that as well.
Sorry, Mary, are you referring to the PPP?
Well, you could address that, and also whether it would be possible for the county to levy an additional business tax.
Yes, the county does have the ability to levy additional local taxes. And if you want me to mention the state reduction, I can mention the state reduction.
Well, I mentioned the state reduction. Let's say, what are the headwinds about imposing a local business tax? First of all, it has to go through the commission.
And the voters.
And the voters, okay. And then there's some absolute max, right? Which, whatever. So it's just easier said than done, is what I'll say. And because we're out of time. Okay, thank you.
And we are out of time, but we'll do rapid fire, 2 quick questions, even though we only have 2 minutes left.
That's okay. I'm a little flexible here, so we'll see.
Gloria asks, there is a major need for housing for trafficking survivors, teen mothers, and women who have been victims of crime. What part of the budget is dedicated to this population and prevention given our county's statistics?
Okay. Madam Mayor, would you like for me to respond?
Yes, please.
Okay, so just our entire division is dedicated to this population, as you know, but we've received grant funding for housing. We have the Victims Housing Assistance Grant that we receive through HUD, and we also have direct relief funds where we provide rental assistance for victims. So that's our dedicated source.
Yeah, so it's not a general fund.
No,
we utilize from the Domestic Violence Oversight Board. We receive funding and some federal funds as well.
Mayor, can I also speak on the prevention, from the prevention aspect of human trafficking?
Yes.
Our mayor has been phenomenal in this work, and we even utilize our juvenile services department, where instead of a child being arrested, children are seen as being victims of human trafficking. Our juvenile services department, it's a collaboration with the Department of Children and Families, as well as the state attorney's office, where we're able to screen for human trafficking and link them to services. So I just wanted to really focus on the fact that our mayor not only makes an investment on the intervention side of things, but she's always willing to innovate on the prevention side of things. And we all know that prevention is key, and it's a lot more cost effective than going into any types of systems. So instead of seeing a child being arrested, we see the child as a victim of human trafficking.
Thank you, Ken.
As your partners, Madam Mayor, and the Women's Fund with you and our amazing state attorney.
Yes.
We'll be doing lots of continuing work and working very strongly. In fact, our next Impact Collaborative, September 4th, will be focused on international and local collaboration with your office, with the state attorney.
I'm making a note.
So thank you very much.
We've
already put in a request to your team. It's the budget meetings that we've already requested you to do some opening recorded remarks. So
Yeah, and
we've got you involved.
okay, if I could just say, I just got a note from Yvonne Mesa, who is now in our corrections system helping on domestic violence issues. And of course, she's mentioning what was said earlier, that we do have our Miami-Dade County Human Trafficking Coalition with 6 committees that meet every other month. And if people are not familiar with that, we'd love to include you.
And I was just going to say the same thing. We have, and Yvonne is an amazing board member of your Women's Fund Miami-Dade as well. The South Florida Human Trafficking Coalition is amazing as well. The Miami-Dade Coalition that Yvonne co-chairs. And while we're at it, can we give a great kudos again to all of these innovations in the county jail? It is incredibly important what you're all doing. So thank you all so much. Our team put these dates up because we promised your team we would, Madam Mayor, and I'm going to ask them, they can, how many more questions would you like to take before I give the little close?
Oh, well, I do
One
want
more
to
question.
call upon Rebecca Fishman-Lipsey of the Miami Foundation, if she's available. I did invite her to join, and I know she might want to offer some words as well.
Wonderful as well. Can our team please welcome her? Would you like one question while our team is, oh, there she is.
Hey there. Oh my goodness, this gathering that you've put together. Way to go, Women's Fund. I can see in the chat and in the participation list, this is a heavy hitting group of community champions. I'm so inspired also by what was asked tonight, because you could have asked anything and it was so not self-serving. It was so about what the community needs. So I love this group. So a couple thoughts. I'm thinking a lot about what our community needs to do in this moment and how we rally a philanthropic response in a moment like this, and just a few reflections and hopefully things that can be helpful to all of the nonprofit leaders on the ground. The first is, I read an article earlier this month. It was a joke, but it was about what the unique version of hell is for every single Myers-Briggs profile. And it made me think, Mayor, about if you could think of like what the unique version of hell would be for our mayor as the first warrior and champion of social services and community and nonprofits, to have to be the one to have town hall meetings with nonprofit leaders and community champions to share that she needs to cut the discretionary services for nonprofit. I literally cannot describe a more acute hell that you must be experiencing. I think we applauded our mayor when she had to face being the face of COVID recovery and the Surfside building collapse. This is a different layer of brave leadership to have to, and you don't have to be doing all these town halls. You could do what you're doing and do what you're doing. The way that you're leading, even a moment like this, I think we need to be standing with you in solutions, and for you not to feel like you're on the other side of the table. And for the nonprofit leaders on the ground, what we're seeing is tens of millions of dollars in shortfalls for services for our community at the county level. This is not an emergency fund moment where we can just raise a couple $1 million and give out a few grants and then it's solved, because this will then be just kicking the can down the road for one more year. We would see the same losses the following year. And then we're seeing on top of that, the tens of millions of dollars in cuts and vetoes at the state level, as well as departments that are being cut down at the federal level. And so we are bracing for what is a very real contraction in our sector, which is going to translate into real loss of services for human beings across issue areas that we care about. And it is at a scale that is larger than right now what a philanthropic response can be. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be advocating. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be speaking up about the need. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't be rallying resources, but I just want to set expectations that this is a kind of moment where we need to be having both a short-term strategy and response and really a long-term conversation about what this looks like for our community. It's also coming on the heels of what was the largest growth experience that our nonprofit sector has seen in our lifetimes, because during COVID, we needed to see massive expansion of services in the face of the largest catastrophe we've experienced at a social health at every level. And our nonprofit community stepped up like warriors in that moment. Nobody was asking questions about how we were going to make this sustainable. What we thought about was, you need me to grow right now and take on whole levels of services that I've never done before, I will do do it, I will step forward. And so our entire nonprofit sector saw over the last few years unprecedented growth and expansion. And in the same way as our mayor is now sharing with us the way she's merging teams and cutting positions and figuring out what she needs to do to make sustainable essential services for our community, we are going to have to do that same thing. It is incredibly painful. It is incredibly painful. And I guess I'll share a couple things. One is, like, if you are an organization that is facing either at the other side of COVID funding, a contraction, or because of county funding cuts, a contraction, you did not do anything wrong. And that we need in this moment to understand a few things. One, the urgency for you to speak loudly about the need for resources for your issue area, because if it wasn't important, then it will not be restored then again in the future. And so this is a moment with which to speak clearly and in a unifying way, and to plan in a unifying way about how organizations lean into each other in moments like this. And also that we cannot be delaying hard conversations. Nonprofits often will put themselves last. Nonprofit leaders will go unpaid. They'll take out, please do not take out personal debt to keep your organizations going, doing what we need to be having conversations in this moment, and not delaying until moments of pain for the human beings that are doing the work. On our end at the foundation, there's three things that we're thinking about and doing. One is mobilizing philanthropy to try in whatever way possible to dull the punch. And so the mayor is sending us people to be having conversations with all the different foundations in town, and family foundations are having conversations about who is getting what kind of cut and who can step forward in what kind of way. And so that's layer one of what we're doing. It is, no matter what we do, we are not going to be able to cover hundreds of millions of dollars of cuts, but we are trying in every way that we can to mobilize increased giving at an institutional level. The second thing that we're thinking about is how we mobilize individual giving in our community. It happens to be every year that we run a really big individual giving campaign in November. And so we are trying as hard as we can to figure out what we can do this year on Give Miami-Dade to blow up individual giving and help our community understand the human level need that there's going to be a gap for. And then the last thing we're thinking about is, what is the long-term play? And what we do to help nonprofits lean into each other, find opportunities with which to either cost share or find other savings or strategize with each other. And so we'll be doing all three of those things, lots of future conversations, but I just wanted to take a moment for us all to be sharing in the burden of this with our mayor and with each other, that this is not something someone is doing to us. It is something that we're going to have to navigate and experience with each other.
Appreciate your comments, your words. This brings us to an amazing and perfect partnership conclusion. I have to say, a perfect segue as well, because I'm going to ask my team to show a list of our impact partners who are giving unrestricted funds, not asking what we're going to do. They trust us. They know we're doing the work. And so we've got incredible people who are fueling our work in so many different ways. And we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we ask more of you to join us, because as everybody knows, we're in the gaps and needs business. We never do anything that anybody else is doing. We're a small gear supporting the Y when Y is doing something important, or Miami Workers Center, or LEAP, or we're a large gear when it comes to producing impact collaboratives, or it comes to creating the Alliance for Infant and Maternal Health, or working with the early child owner operators. So please, let's all keep thanking all of the community and the philanthropically minded, whether it's in large or small, the quantity doesn't matter. That what matters is everybody shows up. So our next Impact Collaborative is another incredible collaboration with the state attorney's office, with the Canadian consulate, with the Mexican consulate, with the French consulate, the mayor's team, all looking at how we can collaboratively make sure there's no trafficking on the road to the South Florida World Cup games. It's going to be a global and a local collaboration. Everybody's been working. Madam Mayor, you were with us this morning, and the state attorney, everybody's working together. Let's continue to do so. So these budget town halls, thank you so much to the mayor's team for being so proactive. Our team is here to connect any of you attendees with the mayor's team as well. And I know we didn't get to all of the questions, but there will be live budget town halls that you can all attend. And with
Well,
that,
and by the way, you know, my staff is here. We'll look at the questions posted, and we will be distributing a list of resources and places to contact to everyone who is registered with an email. So we will get that out to people. And of course, we want to follow up with everyone's questions.
so everyone, thank you for being here. Keep in touch. Please do the exit poll. We will share everything with the mayor and her team. Our community's focus is our power, correct, Madam Mayor?
Indeed. That is what we need, people power.
Any final comments from you? Or with this, we will say goodnight and thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Beautiful conversation.
So grateful to your amazing team.